Assalamualaikum. Most men think the problem is what they say in an argument. It's not. The real problem is that the moment they feel accused, disrespected, or misunderstood, they stop listening and start defending. And once that happens, the conversation is no longer about solving the issue. It becomes a battle for control. If you are a divorced Muslim man preparing for a future wife, or a man trying to salvage a marriage that is already under pressure, download the Muslim Man Rebuild Playbook in the description. It is my 30-minute comeback protocol to reset your mind, body, and deen when you feel stuck, reactive, and spiritually off. It helps you stop spiraling, get grounded, and return to leadership. Because one conversation handled badly can damage trust, but one conversation handled with calm can change the whole tone of your home. A lot of men do not realize this. They think, I'm just explaining myself. They think, I'm only correcting what is false. They think, I need her to understand what I actually meant. But to a woman, especially in a tense moment, that often does not feel like leadership. It feels like pressure, defensiveness. It's like he is more interested in being right than being connected. And this gets worse after divorce. Because after divorce, many men carry unseen tension. They are more alert, more guarded, less patient. They are already carrying pain, pressure, co-parenting tension, financial strain, and old wounds from being misunderstood. So when a future wife, current wife, or even a stepmother figure brings a different perspective, especially about your child, your role, or your judgment, your nervous system can light up fast. Your throat gets dry. Your chest feels unsettled. Your body heats up. And now you are in what I call the washing machine moment inside your heart. That is the moment that decides whether you lead the conversation or lose it. The first mistake that I want to share is reacting too fast. The biggest communication mistake men make is this. They treat accusation like a problem to crush immediately. So the moment she says something that feels unfair, the man jumps in with, "You're wrong. That's not what I meant. That's not what happened. Why are you making it sound like that?" Now, maybe he is factually right. But the problem is not only the words. The problem is the state he is speaking from. Because when a man is emotionally activated, even correct words come out with the wrong energy. And once your energy says, I need to win this, the conversation is already damaged. A lot of men do not need better arguments. They need better regulation. Not every accusation needs an instant defense. Not every misunderstanding needs a rapid correction. Not every opinion needs you to jump on it. Sometimes the most powerful thing a man can do is pause. Listen. Breathe. Let the moment slow down. Because silence is power and it gives you options. Not weak silence. Not manipulative silence. Not cold silence. Grounded silence. The kind that says, I do not need to react to every word just because I felt something. That kind of silence protects the conversation. I learned this especially in conversations involving my child. As a father, when someone has a different opinion about your child's behavior, especially when it comes from a stepmother perspective, it can hit something inside you. Because now it is not just a disagreement, it feels personal. It touches your identity, your judgment, your role as a father. And if you are not careful, you will stop listening and start correcting. But what changed things for me was this. Instead of trying to shut down her perspective, I listened. Not to agree blindly, not to surrender leadership, but to understand what she was actually seeing from where she stood. And sometimes the best outcome is not total agreement. Sometimes the win is we understand each other better now. We can agree to disagree without disrespect. We do not need to destroy peace just because we see it differently. That is maturity. That is leadership. That is masculine restraint. Remember, a man who cannot sit through discomfort without correcting everything is not leading the conversation. He is being led by his ego. The second thing that I want to share with you is listening is not surrender. A lot of men fear listening because they think listening means losing. They think if I stay quiet, she will think I am weak. Or if I don't correct this now, it becomes truth. Or if I validate her feelings, it means I agree with everything. No, listening is not surrender. Listening is information gathering. Listening is emotional leadership. Listening is strength under control. If your wife feels safe enough to express emotion and you do not immediately crush it, dismiss it, or argue over every detail, you give the conversation room to breathe. And that matters because many women are not asking for a courtroom. They are asking for emotional space. They want to be heard before they can become reasonable again. That does not mean you tolerate disrespect. That does not mean you accept falsehood. That does not mean you become passive. It means you respond in sequence. First, regulate. Then, understand. Then, clarify. Finally, set boundaries if needed. Not the other way around. This is where many men ruin good conversations. They clarify before understanding. They defend before listening. They correct before connection. And then they wonder why things escalate. Because now she does not feel heard. She feels managed. Here is a simple frame for hard conversations with your wife or future wife. Number one, slow your body before your mouth. If you feel heat, tension, dryness in your throat, cold hands, tight chest, do not trust your first impulse. Breathe, pause, lower your pace. Your first word should not be your defense. Your first word should be your regulation. Number two, listen for meaning, not just accuracy. Do not only ask, is she factually correct? Instead, ask, what is she feeling? What is she fearing? What is she trying to say badly? Because sometimes her wording is off, but the emotion underneath is real. Number three, reflect before you respond. Say things like, I hear what you're saying. I can see why that bothered you. Let me make sure I understand. all those three calms the room. Number 4, clarify without heat. After she feels heard, then you can explain. Then you can add nuance. Then you can correct what needs correcting. But if you correct too early, she will hear none of it. And finally, number 5, draw the line calmly. If disrespect enters, do not match it. Lead it. You can say, we can talk about this, but we're not going to talk to each other like that. Or, I want to continue this, but not in this tone. That is strength. Not shouting, not lectures, not long emotional monologues. Calm boundary, clear standard. And finally, number 3, timing can save a marriage or slowly poison it. Some conversations fail not because the topic was bad, they fail because the timing was stupid. A tired man, a heavy issue, late at night, low battery, both sides already tense. That is when men say the dumbest things, and then later they say, that's not what I meant. Maybe, but that is what came out. One of the most mature things a man can learn is to stop trying to have 100% conversation when he only has 10% of himself left. If you are drained, flooded, or close to snapping, say it properly. Do not say, can we not do this now? Do not say, you always choose the worst time. Do not say, I'm tired. Okay, just stop. Say it like a man with presence. Say, I know this matters and I want to give it the right attention. I'm not in the best state for it right now. Let's revisit this when I can show up better. That is not avoidance. That is stewardship. Because the goal is not to speak as soon as possible. The goal is to speak well. You see, many marriages do not break from one big explosion. They erode through repeated moments where the man chooses correction over connection. As Muslim men, this matters even more because how you speak inside your home is part of your amanah. Anyone can look composed outside. Anyone can sound wise online. Anyone can seem respectable in public. But who are you when your wife disagrees with you? Who are you when you feel falsely accused? Who are you when your ego gets touched inside your own home? That is where adab shows. That is where sabar shows. That is where taqwa shows. A Muslim man's strength is not proven when everything is easy. It is proven when he has the ability to say more, but chooses what is better. Sometimes that means silence. Sometimes that means a softer tone. Sometimes that means postponing the conversation. Sometimes that means drawing a line without humiliating the other person. That is leadership. If you are divorced and preparing for a future wife, learn this now. Your next marriage will not be saved by chemistry alone, not by attraction, not by money, not by how strongly you feel about doing better. It will be protected by your ability to regulate yourself when you feel challenged. And if you are still trying to salvage a marriage, stop doing this immediately. Stop interrupting. Stop correcting every sentence. Stop trying to win in the middle of emotion. Stop defending yourself before she even feels hurt. And start doing this. Slow down, listen longer, reflect first, clarify later, set boundaries calmly, choose timing wisely. Because there are two paths here. One path is the man who keeps reacting fast, keeps needing to be right, keeps turning hard moments into ego contests. That man slowly creates tension, emotional distance, and exhaustion in his home. The other path is a man who becomes steady. He does not collapse under accusation. He does not panic when misunderstood. He does not need to dominate the conversation to feel like a man. He listens. He leads. He keeps dignity in the room. And over time, that man becomes trusted. That is the man you need to become. Download the Muslim Man Rebuild Playbook through the link in the description. And if this resonated, subscribe. If you agree or disagree, drop it in the comments.